Hey, what is up guys, Jay here from MJ Tech. Today finally coming with the review of the RPS Condor 150. I got this from Texas Power Sports and well, they never disappoint. These guys are quite amazing. Even when I had issues with this particular model where the little choke lever didn't come with it, they send it within days. I'm talking about 3 days and I had it already inside of my mailbox, which is nice. You know, these kind of services, they count, especially when you're purchasing Chinese products. So this particular one, guys, I already did a couple of mods to it, as you probably know. The first thing I did is upgrade to a true PZ27 carb that is tunable. It comes from factory with the same carb, but it doesn't have the air screw. It doesn't have the option to open the little bowl on it to upgrade the jet. So for the main jet now, I have a 98. For the pilot, I have a 42 with 2 turns out on the air screw, and that was pretty much the magic. For the needle, I have it at the middle position. I'm located in Florida, so based on my elevation here is where I got it at the perfect spot, guys. This thing is amazing in every single way, and like I said before, I also eliminated the air box. You can see the filter maybe down here, right about there. I have a cone style filter now. I did swap the oil right out of the bat because I don't like to run it with that cheap oil that comes with it. And the last thing I did off video, of course, is upgrade the sprocket to a 17 tooth sprocket. So I had a 15 tooth. Now I have a 17 tooth. I did have to cut a little bit on the inner part of this cover because it wasn't fitting. It was hitting the sprocket. So you had to cut that little piece. It's about like 1.5 inch piece so that the cover goes back in case you want to reinstall the cover. The chain, I used the same one, no issues whatsoever. You don't have to upgrade. Besides that, I did the spark plug swap, and that's been it, guys. Other than that, she's fully stocked. I still use the choke. Some people have tried the Nibi carb. You get nice results, but at the end of the day, guys, this is a 150cc motor. You're not going to do a miracle. At the most, we're probably going to get like about 70 miles per hour maximum speed, and for what it is, and the price is about $1,500, I think it's quite amazing. So with this being said, guys, let's head on for a ride, test it out, and see what we get from this little Condor. Alrighty, guys, so the moment of truth is here, the Condor 150. And well, I gotta say, this is a very comfy bike after you get the handlebar properly positioned based on your height. And second, the rear suspension, I had to put it at the lowest position, or the most what we call balancing position. It's not super stiff, and that's how I found the best comfort, because out of the box they are quite tall from the back side. It's kind of weird to explain, so it feels like you're riding like forward, like leaning forward, and it could be uncomfortable sometimes. I also replaced the mirrors for the replacement of Kawasaki mirrors, specifically from the Z400. They fit right on and they don't rattle as much, guys. So let's go ahead and put this in recording mode, and there we go. Now here's something cool about this particular bike. If the weather is not too cold, you don't have to really use the choke. All you have to do is just give it a little throttle when you start it. Right now it's completely cold, so as you guys can tell, I don't have to use the choke at all. But if it gives you a little bit of trouble, then obviously yes, you want to use the choke. Now the idle, I have it perfect. It is between 1100 to 1500. That's where you want to keep it at. With this carb, guys, I haven't had no stalls whatsoever. You have to replace out of the box the carburetor. Again, I have the PZ27, I think it is. The link has been provided down below, and you have to get the tunable version of it because you do have to swap those jets. It comes quite lean out of the box. So here we go, guys. There we go. Just warmed it up a little bit, or at least enough. Now the first gear will last a long time. Let me move this a little bit forward. There we go. So first gear will last a long time. I just have the habit to shift to second gear around this area. The brakes are quite sensitive. Now, as I was saying before, with adjusting all the screws and nuts, is that the little brake sensor for the foot brake, it came loose out of the factory, and when I pressed on the foot brake, the rear light was not coming on, and I had to first of all adjust it, and then the spring I rerouted it as well. Okay, so this is why I'm telling you guys, if you're not mechanically inclined, then this bike could become an issue for you. If you're the type of guy that loves bike but you're always taking your bike to a shop, then don't buy the Condor 150. These bikes do require some tinkering around. You can see second gear takes me to 34 miles an hour now. Before, it was more like 22 miles an hour on second gear. So getting that 17 sprocket, 17 tooth sprocket is a must. Fourth gear, and I'm doing 45. Now here's another cool part about the Condor 150 is that for the cluster, you have multiple colors to choose from. You have red, green, yellow, a sort of white, and that's pretty much it. But now the speedometer, hear this out guys, the speedometer is only 2 miles off, exactly 2 miles off. So whatever it says on here, I'm just going 2 miles slower. Look at that guys, I'm already doing 50 miles an hour on fourth gear. There we go. Now here's something that we might do pretty soon. I know that light's gonna catch me. Something that we will do soon here guys is that, well, even though it is not recommended, I know a lot of you guys have the curiosity, and well, some of these bikes, if you tune them well enough, and I mean you have to modify it, sometimes even swap the engine, yes, you can make it through the highway. But now this particular 150cc maximum speed, and I'm talking about redlining it, is going to give you about 72 miles an hour. It has been tested many times before, it has been confirmed, and yes, you can swap this 150 for a 250 or even a 190, but some customization is needed guys. And in my opinion, with a 250 well tuned, you can do highway every day guys. So here we are now, again doing about 50 miles an hour on the Condor very easily. I'm on fourth gear still. That's the lovely part about this bike, comparing it to the older Honda Grams, is that, well, the older Honda Grams, and I'm talking about 2022 I think, or before, they only had 4 speeds. This one has a 5-speed. Now the newer Grams, the 2023 model, does have a 5-speed, and it is fuel injected, which is obviously better than this one, but at the same time you're paying about what, you're paying about 5, almost 6 grand for a bike that, you know, will do, I think, a little less in top speed than the Condor 150 guys. I don't have the Honda Gram, so I can't fully speak about it, but I am pretty sure that this one is a little bit faster guys. So here we're doing about 60 right now, not killing it. You guys can see that right there on the speedometer. Passing cars. So for the back roads, as a commuter bike, it's perfect. The height on this one is about 31 inches, so it is equivalent to something like a Kawasaki Z400 or even a Ninja 400. The Yamaha R3s, they all have about the same height, so you're not going to feel like you're riding a small bike, even though you are. It feels quite normal. But as I said earlier, what feels funny is the back suspension, guys. So I had to put it very soft so that it came down a little bit. And I'm pretty sure that somebody out there is gonna come with a decent mod for it and make it work, guys. So here we're gonna enter real quick the highway, guys, for at least one exit. I only have about 142 miles on this, so it is pre-broken in, but not entirely. I feel like I'm revving too much, but hey guys, for the sake of the video, if I break it, I don't care, guys. I really don't. I mean, it's just a cheap motorcycle. That second gear. All right, so we're doing 41. Yeah, guys, this is kind of dangerous, honestly. I mean, with my weight, there's a slight incline here. I'm not passing cars, that's for sure. I'm bottomed out right now, and I'm doing 60 miles an hour. So going downhill, maybe I'll get lucky and get closer to the 70 range, but it's gonna be hard, guys. I don't recommend it. So luckily this exit is only about a mile less, like 2 miles. Let's see if I tucked in I can get a little more. There we go. I just got 64 out of it, and according to this we're doing about 8,500 RPMs. There you go, guys. We did about 65 on the highway. Can you highway with it? Yes, you can. Is it safe? Absolutely not. Keep in mind also, guys, that we're not fully broken in yet. So we really don't know, yet the maximum ability of this little bike until it is fully broken in. But I've seen videos, more than one video, I've seen a dozen of videos, this bike going up to 72 miles an hour. We got it up to 65, which is kind of close, guys. Right now it's cruising easily at about 45 miles an hour, even though it's claiming 47. I told you guys that it's off by 4 miles. In fourth gear is doing just fine. So I would say, guys, that for the back road, as I said earlier, you can do just fine at cruising speeds. Now let's talk a little bit here about the brakes. The brakes are excellent. As a matter of fact, if you're not careful with the brakes, you will lock the wheels. This doesn't have ABS. I believe the newer Grum, the 2023 model, does have ABS. And yes, the brakes on this are super sensitive. You have to be careful, but that's actually a good thing. We have a single disc brake on the front and a single disc brake on the back, hydraulic brakes, and yeah, they do the job quite well, guys. As per the turn signals, the high beams, the low beams, they work just fine, no issues whatsoever. I've seen some people mod the tail with some aftermarket tail lights that fit right on, and they also eliminate the fender in the back, which kind of looks hideous. But I left everything intact because I don't know for how long I'm going to keep this bike. But man, for the back roads, this thing is amazing, guys. I can run for hours. That's what I like about it. The riding position, the height of the handlebars is perfect. Of course, you also have options to modify that as well, depending on your body. Some people have a longer torso, some people have shorter hands, longer hands. So you have different options to set up this little Condor and make it very, very comfy. Our next subject here, guys, is about the gas. This thing has almost like a 2.5 gallon gas tank, and I can get close, like I typically get, since I ride it kind of hard, I get about 70, 80 miles to the gallon. So 1 gallon will give me almost 200 miles, I would say. Well, not almost, it's about like 170, 160. And yeah, so I mean, it's a single cylinder motor, it's carbureted. You don't want to run it too lean. Maybe that's why I'm spending a little bit more fuel than I want to. But to fill it up, guys, it's only a couple dollars. It's only like $5, $6 approximately. I usually top it off, not when it's completely empty. I top it off at about, you know, maybe a little, like a quarter of a tank. And that's how much I spend. So it's not a killer on gas, which is phenomenal. That's why many people buy these for gas economy. Now, something I noticed about this bike is that I wouldn't recommend it, you know, to leave it outside, outdoors, uncovered. If you don't have a garage, well, at least get a cover for it, because it will rust, guys. These are cheaper screws. They're not aluminum or anything, or stainless, unfortunately, and they will rust very, very easily. So just keep that in mind. Some of the issues that I encounter with this bike, well, like I said before at the beginning, I had issues with the stalling issues. It was due to the carb. The second issue that I had with this bike was the heat shield. It kept coming loose, and since it gets hot, you really can't add Loctite or anything to it. So at some points I took it off and then I put it back on, got it really, really tight on there. I used my impact drill. I said, well, if it strips, it strips. But after I got it very tight with the impact drill, it hasn't come loose yet, or rattle or anything like that. So that was a quick solution, guys. Now I have to admit, this is a very well made bike. Again, once you really assemble it properly and you get everything tightened and verified, and you do those little mods that I just mentioned, guys, I think you have a good, reliable little bike. Just keep up with the oil changes. You know, don't try to you know, run it with that stock oil, even for break-in. A lot of people say yes, you can. Other people say no, you can't. In my personal experience, knowing what it came out, being brand new, all the debris that was in there, I would say don't run it. What I do is that I typically start it up, rev it a little bit, you know, just to rinse the engine. Then I drain it, and then immediately just add proper oil on there, guys. As per the throttle, it's very twisty. I don't know if I'm describing that correctly, but sometimes you have to reposition your hand again just to keep giving it more gas, because it keeps just twisting and twisting and twisting, and it gets to the point where your wrist is just really bent, and then you get the hand fatigue very easily. So you had to kind of like reposition after giving it like half throttle. You have to reposition your hand just to continue giving it throttle. So yes, I call that being twisty. That, you know, meaning you had to turn it around too much. I really wish that that wasn't the case, but it works. You know, it works. There's not much play when you give it throttle. It responds quite fast, guys. So we have so far done about 5 miles in total riding this thing. as I said, guys, it's been great. I mean, I just have no complaints so far. The wheels have been great. The tires are surprisingly grippy, and with the tires, I've had it to where sometimes with other bikes, they come unbalanced, or they're just like super bad tires, and then the bike starts kind of like hopping. It's kind of weird what happens, but with the Chinese brands, the cheaper ones, that's a common issue. But with this bike, the tires are perfect. I have no complaints really. Again, they're very grippy. I have them at the proper PSI, which is 32 in the front and 36 in the back. A little complaint I have here about the foot brake is that it is a little bit on the low side, so your foot is kind of going like this way too much, and you do get fatigue a little bit after a while. But knowing that you only use it for about 30% of braking, well, it's not so bad, guys. It is not. Well, guys, we are about to wrap it up here with the Condor 150. It was a great ride. We did a little bit of everything. We did back roads. The only thing we haven't done is off-road, but this is not really meant for off-road. This is meant for local commuting around the back streets, and nothing more than that, guys. Let's go ahead and take a quick view here around the bike. And you can see the design, it looks quite okay. The front lights, if you guys want them on, all you have to do is flick the switch here to the on position. A lot of people, just for styling, they like to leave the high beams on, and you can see it looks more complete now. It looks a lot cooler that way. Super quiet. You can see the stock muffler is super quiet. You also have the option to kickstart it if it doesn't start with the starter, of course. If your battery's dead, you have that option as well. And overall, guys, I have to give it an 8 out of a 10 in terms of quality of ride, in terms of the bike itself, overall quality of the build. Everything's pretty good. So far, the only complaints that I have are the ones that I told you about, and that's pretty much it. Well, guys, that will conclude today's video of the RPS Condor 150. This is the full review. Excellent little bike for the money, in which you have to tinker with it a little bit to get things perfect on here. I think I got it at a very sweet spot, and I don't have complaints about it. For the price, you simply can't beat it. With this being said, let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll see you on my next one.